In the 1970s, Wayland was a classic starving artist who threw everything into his dream. He painted and he hustled. He would set up art shows at his local high school and sell paintings for just $35, knowing that the only way he could develop as an artist was to sell paintings for whatever he could get to earn money to buy the necessary supplies he needed to create more. Then one day, in what was to become a defining moment for the young artist, Wayland's mother told him, "Listen, art really isn't a job, it's a hobby. Now get out there and get a real job." How many of us have been told that? Eh? The next day she dropped him off at the Detroit Unemployment Bureau. But to Wayland's dismay, he was fired from 3 different jobs in 3 days in a row. He couldn't keep his mind on the boring factory work. He wanted to be creative and paint. A week later, he built a studio in the basement and worked day and night creating a portfolio that would eventually win him a full scholarship to the art school in Detroit. Wayland painted every moment he could, and he managed to sell some paintings, but for years he managed to scrape by. But because he was determined that the art was the only thing he wanted to do, he continued to work and hone his craft over time. One day, Wayland realised that he had to go where other artists actually flourished, where new ideas were born. His destination was a well-known colony on Laguna Beach, California. And with his dream fully alive, he moved into a cramped, tiny studio where he both worked and lived for several more years. Eventually, he was invited to participate in the annual art festival, where he learned to talk about work and interact with other collaborating artists. Soon after, art galleries in Hawaii discovered him, but often sold his paintings without ever paying him at all, claiming their overhead was far too high, they couldn't afford to. And out of frustration in finally selling high-priced paintings only to have the money disappear, Wayland realised that he had to own his own galleries. So in his own galleries, he could control every aspect of selling his art, from how it was framed to how it was hung to how it was sold and who it was sold to and who by. Today, after 36 years of opening his first gallery in Laguna Beach, he creates as many as thousands of works of art a year. Some actually sell for $200,000 a piece. Creates artistic collaborations with people at Disney, owns 4 homes in Hawaii, California, and Florida, and lives the life he always dreamed of. Well, perhaps you're like Wayland. Want to turn your hobby into a career? You can become highly successful doing what you love if you're willing to pay the price. In the beginning, you've kind of got to suffer. Wayland says giving in to everybody else. But there's nothing better than eventually achieving success on your own terms. Gordon Wiggs found his passion at an early age. When he was 6 years old, his parents took him to see his first movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. 2 hours later, he knew what he wanted to do with his life: make movies. Growing up in Toronto, Canada, he made it through high school, making short films with friends on outdated equipment, but they were never enough to slap in. He only had enough to slap together a demo reel that then got accepted to a top film program at a Canadian university. He did well there until the 3rd year, when he made a decision that threatened to derail him on his way to his dream. With only 3 edit suites available for 150 students to edit their films, he constantly found himself unable to book an edit suite. That's when he made the choice to take matters into his own hands and stole a security pass card from one of his professors so he could sneak in and work from midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning to finish his film. For the first week, everything went well. When week 2 rolled round, he invited 2 of his buddies to come in so they could work on the film projects in the neighbouring editing suites. But in the 3rd week, having finished their film projects, they decided to celebrate their success in their secret haven with their girlfriends and booze. Never a good combination. At the height of the party, the campus police busted in on them, and Gordon was expelled from the university. He suddenly found himself with no degree and a pending trespass charge. Still waiting to get into the film business, he gathered whatever confidence he had left when knocking on all the studio doors, asking for a job. Any job. Even offering to work for free, as he met with the same old cliche, "Don't call us, kid, we'll call you." 2 weeks later, and his phone didn't ring once. And then it hit him. if I'm going to make it in the business, I'm going to have to stand out from all the rest and never take no for an answer. At that time, Toronto hadn't quite hit the major studio status yet, and most production offices were dirty old steel mills converted into sound stages. It was hard to imagine how, but it was so bad that whenever it would rain, film production would grind to a halt due to the echoing sound of the rain pelting down on the tin-plated roofs. Knowing the grimy conditions, the second time Gordon visited each rundown studio and production office that had rejected him, he went armed with a bottle of Windex and a roll of paper towels and asked for permission to clean their toilets. Some laughed, as if they weren't sure that this kid was serious or not, while the others gladly said yes, following with, "But kid, I'm still not going to hire you." Gordon did this every day for a week, each day religiously cleaning the dirtiest production toilets. And once had graced the steelworkers, he encountered dirt on top of dirt. But Gordon worked until the porcelain shined. He also made sure to leave his phone number and name and credit behind, because the one thing he'd learned about the film business is how important the credit name is. In fact, on the back of every stall door, he attached the following sign to his film resume: "Washroom cleaned by Gordon. Looking to get my foot in the world of film. Will work for food." Wow. Even though his film resume and experience on paper was slim, he made sure his work spoke for himself with the cleanest toilets. Think about that. What a perfect place to hang your resume and get someone undivided attention while they're sitting on the toilet, nothing else to do but read what is hanging on the wall in front of them or on the door. At that time, and unknown to Gordon, there was a team of Los Angeles producers scouting Toronto to see the city for a suitable match for Boston, the setting for the film where they were looking to shoot. It turned out that in every production office they visited, they noticed the resume inside the toilets. It actually became a game of theirs to look into each production office facility to see if Gordon's resume was hanging there. One night, Gordon's phone rang, and he was hired by the Los Angeles producers for 2 weeks, happily working for food and gas money as he ran errands for them. When the 2 weeks were up, they called him into the hotel room and shared the good news with them. The movie had just been given the green light and was going to be called Good Will Hunting. Even better news, the producers made Gordon the personal assistant to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who at the time were two relatively unknown actors, but were about to become superstars. Because of his willingness to pay the price and do whatever it took, within a month of being expelled from the film school and having his dreams crushed, have ending up working on the Academy Award film that actually changed his life forever. After the success of Good Will Hunting, Gordon went on to work with a list of Hollywood blockbuster films on some of the industry's biggest names, including Steve Martin, Hugh Jackman, John Travolta, Charlize Theron, Gene Hackman, Michelle Pfeiffer, Helen Mirren, Forest Whitaker, and Morgan Freeman. In 2011, Gordon was asked to join the DreamWorks development team alongside his personal hero, Steven Spielberg, the director of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the movie that had originally inspired him in Gordon's dream. Today, Gordon is president of Canwood Entertainment, a global entertainment company headquartered at Toronto, Canada. And the sweetest part of the story? Not only has Gordon been invited many times to speak to graduating classes of the university he was expelled from, all the trespassing charges were actually dismissed.